Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. I pray everyone is doing great. I want to welcome you all to our live Islam 101 session. I want to thank you all for taking time off on Sunday, which I believe this is Super Bowl Sunday. It was actually brought to my attention a few days ago, but may Allah bless you all. I thank you all for taking time out and joining us here. I don't know if there's any, if one way people are swaying towards one team or another, but we welcome you all. Healthy, rivalry here. So may Allah bless you all. We appreciate it. With us, we're very blessed. So some of you, this might be your actually first time joining in. So this is our weekly Sunday class geared towards people that are either recommitting to Islam, new or reverts or converts to Islam, or people that are just looking into Islam. They have questions. They might be studying Islam. They might be family members of new Muslims, so forth. So we wanted to make sure that we have a platform every week where people can ask questions. That's a Friday session, and Sunday is more kind of like structured, in which we have a topic, where we have a topic and we cover that topic as well. So today we're very blessed. We have with us our dear Shaykh, Shaykh Jibreel Speight. Shaykh Jibreel is the director of Muslim Life at Chapman University here in the beautiful city of Orange in California. And he's also one of the instructors at the seminary program at IOK, which is the Institute of Knowledge. Also, as a blessing, Shaykh Jibreel, of course, he converted to Islam many years ago. So I personally like to take advantage of that in terms of learning from his experience. And I hope by extension, everybody that joins the session can also learn from that experience as well, because it's great when he does share that with us within the various discussions that we have. So if I can bring to the virtual platform our dear Shaykh Jibreel. Assalamu alaikum, ya Shaykh.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Peace be upon you. I pray everything as well. How are you doing? How's everything?
We're just trying to hang on, man.
That's it. Yeah, lovely. Yeah. I wish I had more time with you earlier. It's just the session was going live, so I wanted to make sure, as it goes live, it just automatically goes live. So we want to.
That's all good. That's all good. It's all good. No worries, man. Alhamdulillah.
We appreciate you taking time out on this. I think it's Super Bowl Sunday to be with us.
Yes, it is.
It is.
I mean, when you scheduled it, right? You had asked me. I looked at it and I was like, man, he's serious? I said, all right, okay.
Yeah. I think by the attendance so far, many people are on as well. It's later in the day, right? Forgive me.
It's 3:30. 3:30 Pacific time. So
right. So all right, perfect. So for those that want to catch the game, of course, we'll be done way before that, so you guys can be ready for the game. Shaykh Jibreel, are you for any of the two teams there? Are you keeping up with NFL or?
Well, I would say that I am what you call morally conflicted because of the fact that football is very entertaining. It's extremely entertaining.
Yeah.
But the problem is that a couple of things. Number one, as a private business, they have a long way to go as far as trying to morally explain how is it that 75% of the employees are African American, and the people running the show or the owners seem to think that they need to have other ethnicities to be qualified to lead a group of 55 men to run into a wall, basically, but they can't be black. So I think that's kind of weird. And the other part of it is that. Science is pretty much showing that when it comes to head injuries or whatnot, that's a serious thing. So that's the moral conflict. Enjoying the entertainment all at the same time, recognizing that, some of the hits like oof, better you than me. Yeah. Seriously. So, but I think you were going to ask me who I want to win for the game. I really don't have a preference. It's a 3-hour entertainment block, so we'll see.
3 hour, I think somebody will be fortunate. I think it's like maybe 4 or 5 hours.
That's true. Yeah, 4 hours. So that means
commercials and all the pregame and postgame and.
I won't be able to watch 60 Minutes, man. So they took 60 minutes from me.
60 minutes,
yeah, man.
Well, thank you, Shaykh Jibreel, for being here with us. Of course, the session for today is a continuation of that which you started previous weeks. That is the advice of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to, I believe, his nephew, you had mentioned. Yes. And maybe, of course, for those that are tuning in, I'm sure you will already recap it. And then if there's something you want to share, of course, I'll go ahead and share that for you.
Sure.
And virtual floor is all yours. We go to about, of course, 2:10 for the audience here, and then we'll leave some time for questions, 2:10, 2:15. So
Okay.
for those of you, I know some people are streaming live on Facebook, some are on the YouTube channel. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them, of course, on YouTube on the chat box there. So I'll go ahead and get them per the topic, of course, so we can kind of keep the questions for the topic. And number two, of course, that's a reminder from myself and everyone. Let's make sure that all the comments are appropriate in the comment or in the chat box. We want to make sure we're respectful and welcoming to everyone that's on the session. Again, brothers and sisters and dearest guests, thank you so much for taking time out on this beautiful Sunday to be with us here virtually. Shaykh Jibreel, Speight, the virtual floor is all yours.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the bestower of mercy, praise and thanks belong to Allah, and may peace and blessings be upon the one who's been sent as a mercy to all of creation, Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, and upon his family, his companions, and those that follow them excellently until the day of resurrection. We have been discussing, walking through a very important set of advice that Prophet Muhammad, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, gave to his nephew. As a recap, the wording says that the nephew, his name is Abdullah ibn Abbas, said that I was sitting behind the Prophet, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, when he said, "Young man, would you like for me to teach you some words through which Allah, Arabic name, God, will occasion benefit for you?" He said, "Of course." And then the Prophet Muhammad said that safeguard Allah and he will safeguard you. Safeguard Allah, or God, and you will find him in front of you. Know Allah in times of ease, and he will know you in times of hardship. When you ask, only ask God or Allah, the Arabic name. When you seek aid, turn to Allah. The pen is dried after having written all that will occur. If all of creation, if the entire creation was to try and effectuate some benefit for you through something that Allah has not ordained, they wouldn't be able to do so. And if they wish to harm you through something which Allah has not decreed, they would not be able to do so. Know that great good lies in bearing with patience what you dislike. Know that victory comes with patience. Know that relief comes with distress, and know that with hardship comes ease. This is the wording that we've been going through. We have covered safeguarding Allah, and how does Allah safeguard the faithful, the believer. So now we are now going to go and look into the concept of Allah being with the believer. We should first of all understand that in the Holy Quran, this concept that Allah, and I'll be saying the Arabic name Allah, I mean God, it's mentioned 38 times in the Holy Quran about how Allah is with his creation. And before we go any further, or actually part of this concept of saying that Allah is with you, or is with me, etc. Number one thing is this: for those of you who are new Muslim, those of you who have decided by the grace and blessings of Allah to rededicate yourself as a Muslim, or those of you who are not Muslim but are curious, let me tell you about the belief in Allah for a moment, or at least one thing about the belief of Allah, which is this. We do not take the phrase Allah is with you literally. We do not take that literally. Because if you think about it from a human level, when I tell you that so-and-so is with so-and-so, then this can mean that Allah is with me every single place, like including what? The bathroom, for example, right? So it's not literal. Also, the problem with thinking about it from that standpoint is that we believe that Allah is the creator of everything, including time and space. To say that Allah is with so and so is to suggest that the creator of everything has not confined himself to the creation. So then why should I worship that? You see? So understand that very carefully, which is to say that, number one, the concept of Allah is with you should not be taken literal. Okay, so then what is meant by that then? Well, let's go through that. There are two ways in understanding or looking into this idea that Allah is with you. The wording of the prophetic tradition that we have, that we're studying, talks about the fact of safeguarding Allah will be with you. I want to talk about this concept of witness, W-I-T-H, N as in Nancy, E-S-S, witness. That's what we'll call it, okay? There is a general witness and there is a specific witness, okay? W-I-T-H-N-E-S-S. Again, there are two types, that which is general and that which is specific. Let's talk about the general first. Let's talk about the general first. I call to your attention in the Holy Quran, the fourth, roughly translated as chapter. Some translate it as section. In Arabic, it's called Surah, S as in Sam, U-R-A-H as in Harry. It is there in that fourth section or chapter, verse 108, or in Arabic, ayah, A-Y-A-H. All right. Sometimes I like to mention it because sometimes the English doesn't really encapsulate the whole idea. So you have to, sometimes that's what I'll do when I talk to you. I think some of you are aware of that. So anyway, chapter, verse 4.108. It says there, they try to hide themselves from people. They try to hide themselves from people. But they can't hide from God. He is with them when they plot at night, saying things that do not please him. He is fully aware of everything they do. Now, in this particular verse, he's talking about people that don't that do not believe, and there's a context behind it. I don't want to go too much into all of that, but the idea is that we want to lock into is that this is a general understanding of witness. That is to say that God is with people, Muslim or non-Muslim, all right, in the sense that he is fully aware of everything that they do. In other words, his infinite knowledge encompasses and well aware of what people do. And that is what is understood by, generally speaking, the witness that God has with creation, whether they be one who believes or one who rejects and denies faith. I call to your attention, consider in the 57th chapter, verse number 4. It says there, it was he who created the heavens and earth in 6 days. In other words, 6 time periods. And then established himself on the throne. He knows what enters the earth and what comes out of it, what descends from the sky and what ascends to it. What descends from the sky and what goes to the sky. He is with you wherever you are. He sees all that you do. And the concept of witness here is, of course, knowledge, infinite knowledge, and also the fact that the affirmation that Allah is the all-seeing. Like he sees everything. Again, the concept of witness from a general scale, from a general idea. So we see infinite knowledge. We see the fact that Almighty God sees all. There is a narration, a prophetic tradition, by the Prophet Muhammad, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, where it is mentioned that Allah, God, sees everything and is able to see, including to kind of give us a visualization of just how deep, even though equating something creation like to the creator is not possible, but the idea is that God is able to see us so much so that he's able to see the blackest ant on the blackest rock in the blackest of the night, or the darkest. So that's the idea. Another place in the Quran, next chapter, 58th chapter, verse number 7, we find there, do you not see that God knows everything in the heavens and earth? There is no secret conversation between three people where he is not the fourth, nor between five where he is not the sixth, nor between less or more than that without him being with them, wherever they may be. On the day of resurrection, he will show them what they have done. God truly has full knowledge of everything. That's what we can appreciate then from these three places in the Quran, that there is a general understanding of witness, that is to say that Almighty God is with people, Muslim and non-Muslim, and is fully aware of what's being done, what's being said, etc. That's one type of witness. And then there is what is called a specific witness, W-I-T-H-N as in Nancy, E-S-S. Again, I want to say that word again so all of you are with me. There is a specific witness. And that can be illustrated, and I'll give you two examples in the Holy Quran. In the 9th chapter, verse number 40, we find there that God says, even if you don't help the Prophet, God helped him when the disbelievers drove him out. When the two of them were in the cave, Muhammad said to his companion, do not worry, God is with us. And God sent his calm down to him, aided him with forces invisible to you, and brought down the disbelievers' plan. God's plan is higher. God is almighty and wise. Now, this particular verse is talking about when the Prophet Muhammad, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, eventually left the holy city of Mecca. For those of you who do not know, or those of you who are studying it, and those of you who will be studying it, when Prophet Muhammad was given the first revelation, which was commanded upon him to read in the name of his Lord, he went to his wife, Khadija, may Allah be pleased with her, and told Khadija what had happened, and Khadija took him to her uncle, right? And he was a blind, righteous Christian scholar, and Muhammad told the Christian scholar about what has happened, and the Christian scholar said, "Oh, that's the angel. That's the angel revelation that came to you." And then he said, I want you to pay attention to this part because it leads to the purpose of this verse. And then he said to him, I really wish that I were with you to assist you because your people are going to kick you out of your city. And the Prophet Muhammad was shocked. He said, what? They're going to drive me out? He said, yes, that is the situation of all prophets. In other words, they have a ministry. They invite people to submission and devotion called Islam. And many people reject to the point where they threaten violence, death, etc. Persecution in general. And Prophet Muhammad was no exception to that rule. Thus, in this particular passage, God is reminding the believers that bear in mind that if nobody were to ever help the Prophet, that's okay, because God's going to help him. Just like we helped him, the majestic we, like the king, Just like we helped him when his people sought to drive him out. Not only sought to drive him out, they wanted to kill the man. They didn't just want to tell him go away. They said, no. We coming after you. All right. So they were in the cave. Who's they? Prophet Muhammad and his close friend Abu Bakr. Abu A-B-U and Bakr B-A-K-R. He was one of the first to accept the message of there is no God worthy of worship except the one true God, and that Muhammad is the final messenger. He was a very close friend to the Prophet Muhammad. And so they left together to go to a cave while in their attempt to leave, and God had protected them to ensure that they would eventually reach their destination, which would be the holy city of Medina, wherein the Islamic civilization took root and grew until we all know what's going on. The point of this verse is that it indicates that there is another type of witness, which is the fact that God is with those in the sense of assisting them and helping them and comforting them and granting them success based upon when he chooses it to be of such. And there is another passage in the Quran. Consider in the 16th chapter, verses 127 and 128. It is there that God commands the prophet. So be steadfast, be patient. Your steadfastness or your patience comes only from God. Do not grieve over them. Do not be distressed by their scheming, because God is with those who are mindful of him and who do good. This witness teaches us something. The first witness is, which is general, the belief and understanding that God is with us everywhere, Muslim and non-Muslim. And then there's another witness, a witness where it consists of, as I mentioned before, getting strength, reassurance, and a deep-rooted sense that there is going to be eventually help and progression in a positive way, so long as I am mindful of him, patient of him, and patient about what transpires, and that I do good. 3 things. So now you have an idea. And this goes back to, i.e., the patience, the mindfulness, and doing good. That goes back to what? To the previous lessons, which is safeguard Allah. Allah will safeguard you. Safeguard Allah, and he will be with you. So now you see hopefully the progression and the pathway that we have put together, Allah willing. A great scholar by the name of, a great scholar one time said, Allah is with those who are conscious of him. Whoever has Allah with him, then with him is the party or army that will never be overcome. The sentry that will never sleep, and the guide who will never go astray. In other words, whoever really has a true sense of conscience of God, then they should be rest assured that angels will come to assist that individual. That's part of the belief as well, you see. For those of you that may not be aware of this, we believe in angels as well. See, we believe in a lot of unseen things, and that's very possible because of the fact that as a Muslim, and you learn this as you grow, and I learned this as I was growing as a Muslim, that the more you learn about Islam, the more you realize as a human being, you really don't know a lot. All right. Our minds are very, very limited, and we have a tendency to rely a lot on thinking that the way that we are able to come to logical conclusions gives us this ability to think we know a lot of different things, which actually is one of the problems why people disbelieve. But maybe that's another discussion for another day. One of one of the great scholars one time wrote to another scholar and said, if Allah is with you, then who do you fear? Who do you truly fear? If God is against you, on the other hand, then who do you have hope in? And then he said, peace. In other words, if you truly are trying to be God conscious and be a person of faith and conviction, submission and devotion, then you shouldn't fear and worry or be afraid of anything nor anyone. However, if you wish to carry on in a manner that goes against safeguarding the rights of Allah, then there is no one in this universe that can spare you from any torment that might be in store. As I was reading those last two passages in the Quran, you may have noticed that, and this is an encouragement for all of you, that this witness that God mentions, note that he's mentioning it to the prophets. So I encourage you as an assignment to think about Prophet Noah, Prophet Abraham, Prophet Moses and his brother Aaron, Prophet Jesus, Prophet Hud, Hud, Prophet Salih, Salih, Prophet Shu'aib, Jesus the son of Mary, and Prophet Muhammad. I want you to think about, as you're reading throughout the course of the Quran, you should follow and think about, look at how God is with or was with those great people, and the believers who accepted the message. Also consider Prophet Lot as well, and what transpired as well throughout that story. The point being is that just like Allah is with his prophets, he's with those that have firm faith and belief in him, the Most High. It has been said one time, and here's another question to think about for you. It might be coming to someone's mind. How can I develop this pathway of hopefully having God with me? There is a prophetic tradition wherein the Prophet Muhammad mentioned that the most beloved thing to Allah is performing the actions which he has deemed mandatory to do. And then the Prophet Muhammad goes on and elaborates further by saying, the servant continues coming close to me, in other words, to Allah, comes close to Allah through performing optional acts of devotional worship. So you have the five daily devotional prayers, and then of course there are optional prayers as well. And you have the month of Ramadan, which is mandatory to fast, but there are, outside of that, you can fast other days as well, right? For those who are, there is also a financial obligation upon some people, and of course there is a recommended financial type thing, which is to give, in charity, etc. And the tradition goes on and says, this is what Allah is saying, when I love him or her, I become his or her hearing by which he hears, his seeing with which he sees, his hand with which he strikes, and his foot with which he walks. What does all that mean? It means the following, is that when love fills the heart and overcomes it, when love fills the heart of when love fills your heart and overcomes it, then your limbs, your body parts will then do only that which is pleasing to the Lord and creator of the heavens and the earth. At this point, when a person reaches that point, then the soul will find tranquility and peace, because this tranquility and peace will be the two things Allah gave that person to, in essence, remove negative desires and only pivot desires solely for the pleasure of the Almighty God. So the servant of Allah develops this huge desire to worship Allah because he or she simply wants to. All right. And truly understands that connection to Almighty God is not a thing of when you feel like doing it. It's when I've been told to do so. So let me kind of give you something. Let me give you a little practical application. The brother Jamal talked about the Super Bowl today, right? Super Bowl's at about 3:30 or something of this nature. Some of you are going to be watching the Super Bowl. It is what it is. Fine. All right. Here's a challenge to all of you. The late afternoon prayer comes in around 3-ish to 3:15 approximately. I got a question to ask all of you if you want to practice this, okay? When you going to pray? You talk, I'm going to pray before that. Okay, great. Next thing is that, are you going to rush through the prayer or are you going to, give it its rights? Then, when it's time for sunset prayer, all right, when it's time for sunset prayer, and maybe it's a tight game, Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady going back and forth and this, that, and the third, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? It might be a tie game, fourth quarter, last quarter, and everything. And then, oh, snap, I got to pray sunset prayer. You got two options. Either you pray it or you don't. What you going to do? Halftime show. The halftime show. Is the dude's name, The Weeknd, without the E. Entertainment. Anyway, my question is, are you actually going to look at that? Or could you maybe busy your time doing something else until the game comes back on? I'm just asking you a question. Those are things that for practical application, you might want to think about. All right. I didn't say don't look at the game. Nah, look at the game if that's what you do. But look at it based upon the context of how a Muslim should look at it. All right. So when it's time to pray, it's time to pray. Don't think about the game. Just pray. All right. Also, some of you might have snacks and food and stuff. Well, we have in the Quran, it says eat and drink, but don't overindulge. Indeed, God doesn't like those who overindulge. So what's the menu? A whole bunch of different foods? Or just enough to be satisfied? That's just something for even myself to think about, Excuse me. So these are all things I would encourage you to think about. Remember something, okay? The difference between somebody that wants God with that person and not is that the former, i.e. the one that worships, that wants God with that person, worships because they understand this is what submission and devotion is about. The latter, the one that, may or may not want that, is similar to a person that worships God based upon a ledge. All right. Good comes that person's way, happy. God loves me. Being tested, if God tests that person, the person starts, acting all silly. It's like the whole world is against him or her. That person doesn't have tranquility nor peace. Why? Because they don't fully understand the concept of safeguarding Allah or God, wherein the result of that is that he is with you. And part of that, the fruit of that is to experience tranquility and peace. Let me give you some other things to think about before I shut it down. And I gather take questions or comments or something of that nature. We find that many of the great scholars, both male and female, they develop themselves. It's not like a snap of the finger thing. They develop themselves to have a sense of connection with Allah, wherein even feeling physically alone did not bother them. One time, a great scholar was living outside the city of the holy city of Medina, right? And he was in an open land. And all of a sudden, he's out there by himself, and he, started feeling a sense of loneliness. And he heard a voice crowd to say, "Why do you feel alone? Isn't your beloved, with a capital B, isn't your beloved with you?" In other words, isn't your beloved God with you? All right. And so we find a narration from Prophet Muhammad that says that the best quality of faith is that the servant knows that Allah is with him wherever he may be. Wherever he may be. All right. That is to say that even when they are alone in the car, or when it feels like, I'm just all by myself, they have deep solace, deep tranquility, and they have assurances that I have God. I got Allah. I'm good. All right. Last thing I will say then is that the Quran, you've heard me say this many times for those of you who've been hearing me teach, give you class. The Quran is the one thing that will help you develop a better understanding of Allah, of God, wherein when you internalize the messages, you will begin to slowly but surely taste the sweetness of God being with you, even when it feels like everybody is not around you. And with that, I'll stop.
All right, Sheikh Jibreel Speight, thank you so much. Sheikh Jibreel Speight, for those of you that are just joining us, Director of Muslim Life at Chapman University, also one of the seminary instructors at IOK, Institute of Knowledge there in Diamond Bar, California. A hop, skip, and a jump away from us here at Anaheim. Allah bless you. Sheikh Jibreel, a few questions we got. Thank you again, very powerful topic and subject, and thank you for elaborating and explaining to us, and of course translating the Arabic terminology that one might use. We really appreciate that. Questions here is, of course, we have a few people that joined us a little bit late, and many of our brothers and sisters that have converted to Islam or that are joining us come from maybe a biblical or Christian background. So you mentioned, of course, God being with us. Of course, our understanding will be a little different from those of other faiths. Can you kindly just remind us again, as you had started the session, about that and our belief in Allah and that specifically, please?
The first thing I would say is that I'm going to expand a little bit upon what I mentioned earlier. There is, unfortunately, in some circles, this idea that God is disconnected with his creation, and specifically human beings. There is a call or a teaching or whatever you want to say, wherein there's a disconnect, all right, in some circles. I'm here to tell you that looking at that in the eyes of revelation, i.e. the Quran and the prophetic traditions, that is categorically false. We say, or rather, I should say the Quran, or even more so, Allah, Almighty God, mentions in the Quran and on the tongue of his prophet, and not just Prophet Muhammad, but all the prophets before him, that no, indeed God is with us, but not literally. Not literally. Let me give you something to think about. Let's say you got a friend, plays sports or whatever, right? Something good, okay? And they say, I'm going to go to the Salvation Army. I'm going to, volunteer. I'm going to go to the Islamic Institute of Orange County, and I'm going to participate in the food drive, for example, right? And I get a phone call or a conversation. I can't go, right? But I hear that, and I'm being told that by that person. I say, you know what? Go, and I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm not actually there with that person, all right? What does that mean then? All right? From a human level, it means that I support you. I support you. That is totally the same. That is the idea. In other words, God is with us with his infinite knowledge. God is with us in the sense that he sees everything. God is with us in the sense that he hears everything. He knows everything. I forgot to read something to you to give you hopefully an expansive understanding. So let me read this to you. In the 5th chapter of the Quran, 5th chapter, starting with verse 116, it's toward the end of chapter 5. The title of the chapter is called The Table Feast, which is referring to when Jesus, the son of Mary, may Allah bless him and his mother with peace and blessings. He was with his followers, and they asked Jesus to pray to God to send down a table. He did. Toward the end of that chapter, it says the following. I'm going to read this, starting with 116. When God says, Jesus, son of Mary, did you say to people, take me and my mother as two gods alongside God? He will say, glory be to you. May you be exalted. I will never say what I had no right to say. If I had said such a thing, you would have known it. That right there, that sentence, if I had said such a thing, you would have known it. That's the concept of God being with Prophet Jesus. He goes on, you know all that is within me, though I don't know what is within you. A believer understands that God is all-knowing, infinitely knowledgeable, that he knows everything about everything about me, closer to me than my own jugular vein. But I don't know everything about God, except what he wants me to know about him. Then it goes on and says, you alone have full knowledge of things unseen. I told them only what you commanded me to. Worship God, my Lord and your Lord. I was a witness over them during my time among them. Ever since you took my soul. Now remember, this conversation is going to happen on the day of judgment. Ever since you took my soul, you alone have been the watcher over them. Again, the idea of Allah being with creation, with human beings, that he watches over them. You are witness to all things. And if you punish them, they are your servants. If you forgive them, you are the Almighty, the wise. And then God will say, this is a day when the truthful will benefit from their truthfulness. They will have gardens graced with flowing streams, there to remain forever. God is pleased with them and they with him. That is the supreme triumph. In summary, then, for those who came a little later on, first of all, welcome. I should have said that in the first place. Concept of God being with us is that he is infinitely knowledgeable about us and what we do, what we're going to do. He sees everything, he hears everything. And he has all of our actions recorded in a scroll by angels. I hope that helps.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Sheikh Jibreel. Sheikh Jibreel, we have another question here, if it's okay. We're taking a lot of your time, but we appreciate you joining us and fielding these questions. For one of our guests here, our guest is saying they like to learn more about Islam. And the question is, I wonder why Muslims need an imam or a scholar if they can get all their answers from the Quran and Hadith.
That's a great question. What it implies is that there is no need of a scholar to walk them along. The reality is that with anything, well, I'll put it like this. Scholarship in Islam, part of the responsibility is to teach and educate people. See, the Prophet Muhammad, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, had 4 basic tasks. All right, 4 basic tasks. First task is to read, recite the Quranic verses. Second is to teach the Quran. Now, that's where the modern day scholar comes in, to help people, guide them along as to how to understand the Quran. to guide them along, teach them, introduce them to the Quran. What is the Quran? Where does it come from? Etc. Etc. Right. The other thing about Prophet Muhammad's job was to teach people how to develop themselves spiritually, spiritual purification, right? And to also teach them the prophetic traditions. So there are many places in the Quran a person can read and they can understand right away. Nothing's hidden, all right? But there are certain passages in the Quran that require a deeper look, and that's where the scholar comes in to assist that person understanding more. The prophetic traditions, or the in Arabic hadith, as you mentioned here, same thing. There are many narrations that, that a person reads, understand right away. But there are others that require a deeper unlocking, a deeper unpacking. That's where the scholar comes in. And that is why we have, and I make a differentiation between an imam and a scholar. I make a differentiation. Yes, spiritual support, advisement, also as well, teaching the person how to grow as far as being more literate about their religion. That's a very important thing. We see one of the things that is very important, is essential, is that all Muslims should be a lot more literate about their religion. They should be able to articulate their religion with confidence and with proper knowledge. And just saying it haphazardly, saying it any which way you feel like it, and this type of thing here, well, that's a danger. That's a recipe for disaster. And I also talk to some of my colleagues who are not Muslim, that I believe that our role in general, no matter what religion that you are, if you are going to really get into this, then it's really important that that some of us are very, very knowledgeable about a religion, to really go through the details that perhaps laity may not fully comprehend, or may not have noticed or seen, or something of that nature. So a scholar's job then is to do several things. It's to educate the people about the Quran, is to educate the people about the prophetic traditions, about things that they may not know or may not be aware of, and to extract lessons that they may not have considered, so they can grow and be better people and better ambassadors in the name of God, the most merciful, the bestower of mercy. I hope that helps you.
Thank you, Sheikh Jibreel. And we want to thank the wonderful questions that we're getting, especially here at Ragnar. Feel free for Ragnar, any other guests online. If you don't have an English or a Spanish translation of the meaning of the Quran, feel free to reach out to us at outreach@iioc.com. We'll be more than happy to work something out to get that over to you. It'll be our sincere pleasure to do so, God willing, inshallah. Sheikh Jibreel, I think that there's some comments, of course, but I believe that's all for the questions. Maybe I missed some, but if you see anything you wanted to speak on, you're most welcome as well.
One person put on here, but some people say that the one who doesn't pray is disconnected. That is, Allah is not with them and is considered disbeliever. Is this a correct concept? Okay, so
I see that question. Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's see. We need to kind of go through this a little bit here. All right. It says it, but some people say that the one who doesn't pray or do pray is disconnected, as Allah is not with them. Listen, here's the reality about prayer. We mentioned this before. We'll continuously mention it. Actually, before I say all that, if you are a Muslim and you claim and you say you are a Muslim, then that's great. But you got to stay Muslim. How do you stay Muslim? You stay Muslim by doing the things that you've been commanded to do to the best of your ability, and avoid the things that you have that have been prohibited. That being said, let me say this to you: that prayer is the thing that is one of the most important ways of connecting and talking to Allah. The linguistic meaning of prayer means supplication. This concept of lowering oneself and making a plea to Allah to assist. Okay. Now there are some people in this world who are Muslim who don't pray. All right. So now what? We say to those people, listen, you are building yourself up for destruction. Because you never know. You not praying might be the beginning toward a negative ending. So if a person is not considered a disbeliever or denier of truth, until that person says, I don't believe that it's obligatory upon me to pray. Now that's a problem. Some people are weak in faith and they say, yeah, I know I gotta pray. I'm just trying to get it together, and I'll try some more and everything. Okay, it happens. That's not, it's a shame that people are at that point. But there are factors that led a person to say, I'm not gonna pray anymore. It wasn't a snap of a finger. What happened? Most likely, from my experiences, that person has developed a lack of understanding of who Allah truly is. Because how they really understand who Allah is, even if they say their prayers in English, they don't know Arabic yet, they're going to pray their prayer. So ultimately, the person who has chosen to turn away from Allah and not seek to understand Allah better, even through the thick and thin, these are the people that unfortunately teeter and totter with their prayers to the point that some don't even pray. What we do say about these people is that, brother or sister, you have to try a lot harder to learn about Allah. And let me tell you something else too. Stop thinking that you have a negotiation with Allah. He tells you to do something, you do it. There is no, whatever. But it requires a deeper attempt, a deeper fighting of oneself to learn more about Allah, to develop that love of putting your face on the ground to pray to the Almighty. That's all I'll say about that. And Allah knows best.
All right, Sheikh Jibreel, thank you so much. And I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone that's online, both on Facebook and YouTube. We appreciate it. As a reminder for myself and to everyone else, please feel free to invite at least one other person to join the session. Of course, we want to make sure that we're able to assist anyone that would like to join us. And of course, we pray that this session is beneficial for everyone. So thank you so much. And for our dearest guests that are online, and that are joining us or might be streaming this or watching this later on. If you don't, again, as a reminder, if you don't have an English or a Spanish translation of the meaning of the Quran, please get in contact with us at outreach@iioc.com. We'll be more than happy to arrange that. I know one of our guests here is in Europe. No worries. Please connect with us on our via email, and we'll go ahead and we'll connect. And God willing, by God's permission, we will do our best. With that, a few announcements, and we'll call it an afternoon if it's okay. I wanted to just thank all the volunteers that came out. As you guys know, this past Saturday we had our monthly drive-through food distribution event. Sheikh Jibreel, I think, hinted towards it. I'm not sure, but for us here at the mosque, it's very important that we're action-based, meaning like when there's a concern in the community, that our message is not just theological, meaning Islam is this and Islam is that. That's important. However, we need to be in the trenches along with our community and helping out and addressing the concerns and issues in the community. So that's what we try to do. We're not perfect, but we're trying. So we have a number of distribution events that we do. So this past Saturday, yesterday, it was just yesterday. Time just flies. I'm blessed. I'm very thankful that the masjid is open. The mosque is open to have events like this and services in the middle of a pandemic. But brothers and sisters and dearest guests, when you see that line that we had, and I think at many mosques and probably churches and so forth, it really breaks your heart. It really breaks your heart. The line, as you guys know here at IOC, from our back alleyway spilling into the streets, down the street. You'll find that footage, of course, coming out later. but it really hurts the heart, and these are Muslims, non-Muslims, people of different faiths, backgrounds, etc. We just want to help people. So very thankful that they considered us to come here. I know it might be at first, hey, a mosque, what's going on? But hey, no strings attached. Come, you need assistance, we'll do our best. So yeah, so that I want to thank all the volunteers, both from the ICNA Relief, and I want to thank them very much for this ongoing support that they've been giving many different community centers and helping out. And of course, the mosque and the management itself. Thank you so much. As you guys know, first Saturday of every month, we have our drive-through food distribution. And I believe it's the third Friday of each month, we have our drive-through diaper distribution. That's very important. People, they don't have diapers. SubhanAllah, like this is something that we really need to help, right? I think one individual, we went around the community here, yeah, Sheikh Jibreel, just letting our neighbors know that, hey, if you guys need any assistance, we're here. I think one of the conversations our sisters was having with the neighbors was that, look, they're just trying to make rent. I think they both got laid off. They're just trying to put food on the table. So it's like, we as a mosque need to reach out and know about our neighbors, right? And so I encourage you all, if you're part of other communities, try to, remind them to reach out to the general community as well. I think there's a lot of things that one can do in the middle of this pandemic. So just want to thank everybody for that. I thank all the volunteers that came out. Again, when we put that post out, feel free if you want to volunteer and come out and help us bag food and fresh vegetables and some of the grocery items, eggs and all that good stuff. You can help us. That'll mean a lot. We're very thankful. Every week we're introducing new people into our community, and today is no exception. I am very happy, and I wanted to introduce our dear sister Brandy. Sister Brandy is joining us here in our IFC community. She's from, of course, another state. She converted some time back, but she happened to find us, I believe, an article that she read somewhere about, I think, some of the services that we have. So we want to thank her for joining. And she is actually online right now. Sister Brandy, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Welcome to the family. May Allah may God give you peace and happiness, enjoying your life. The peace that as many people look for, but sometimes only a few people achieve. We pray you get this peace and this happiness, enjoying your life. Thank you for considering us, and thank you for joining us. You are a few hours ahead of us, so we do appreciate that. And having said that, thank you so much. May God bless you all, Sheikh Jibreel. As always, it's a privilege and honor to be amongst you in your company. In these discussions, we learn a lot. Thank you so much. For those of you, Super Bowl Sunday, of course, if you're driving, I just remind myself of you, please be cautious. Unfortunately, days like this, people get behind the wheel and they're drinking and all that stuff. So please be cautious, be careful if you're driving out there, and may Allah bless you all and protect you all. Thank you all very much. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all.
Alaikum salam.